Alexander, great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us. Been very impressed with your performances last year at GP3, and then you came back and did that F3 race at Silverstone, which I think you won prior to Macau,
Yes.
and just a very strong
Yes.
season. So well done on that. And just before we start, let's just look back a little bit at 2011 and how it went for you.
Yeah, I actually thought it was a bit of a tough year. Didn't end exactly how I wanted it. Halfway through the year, it was going fantastic. We were leading the championship, and momentum was really gathering. But at Hungary and Spa, we had two pretty big errors on the team side of things, really. But I don't really hold any massive blame. It's just the way racing goes. But yeah, we didn't score any points, and then we dropped to sixth in the championship in the end, which was fairly disastrous, if I'm perfectly honest. But there were plenty of positives to take out of the year. But the biggest problem being that the end result in the championship was not what we needed it to be. So I lost my gravity backing, and so now I'm back on my own as such.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's happened to other drivers, and they've regrouped, and I'm sure you will. I mean, Rob Wickens is a good example of a guy that lost his Red Bull deal and came back and won the World Series by Renault Championship.
Exactly, yeah.
Just talking through what happened in those races, GP3 is a very difficult championship. It looks from the outside, looking inwards, in the sense that you don't have a lot of power to play with, there's a lot of grip, and if the setup isn't exactly right, there's not a lot as a driver that you can do.
Yeah, I mean, last year we saw the grids were incredibly close all year. It's not something where, as long as you do a pretty good job yourself, then you're always going to be up there. It's so competitive that you need everything to be absolutely on form. And yeah, I mean, most of the season we were on form, but just those 2 weekends really hurt us.
Yeah, well, you've obviously got a lot of talent, and it's great to know that you are part of the McLaren Young Driver program. So tell us a little bit about that and what's in store for 2012.
Well, I signed with McLaren just a few months ago, and it got announced at the Autosport show to be driving their GT cars this year. As to what the program holds for me, I'm not entirely sure just yet. We're just doing testing and just bits and pieces, really shaking down cars and things that are being prepared for the customer teams. But hopefully I'll be doing some racing, some endurance stuff, which will be new to me. Very exciting times.
Yeah, and the whole McLaren thing, the technology centre, and I presume the simulator, and the people you're going to be rubbing shoulders with, the engineers and the other drivers. It's a great thing for a driver at your stage, and I'm sure.
Yes.
Well, we look forward to following you during the season in what you're doing there with the GT car. But I believe you just got back from an interesting trip to Kilimanjaro. Tell us about that. That's amazing.
Yes, it was pretty amazing actually. It was a long time coming in terms of I planned to do it probably 3 or 4 months ago with my brother, and then I decided to try and do some fundraising along the way, and in the end raise some £8,000 I think for the Henry Surtees Foundation. But the experience itself was unreal. It really, I would never have guessed it would be that difficult. I felt terrible, really felt terrible during the climb. It wasn't physically that demanding, but the altitude just really got to me. It's not something I've got experience of before, and I felt terrible. But the morning that we got to the summit, it was all suddenly worthwhile, and really one of the most special moments of my life. It was really an amazing experience.
Well, and you've kind of answered the question. I was going to say, was it dawn or was it midday when you got there? And can you just describe the light and what sort of day it was?
It was stunning. The weather was perfect, not a cloud in the sky. And yeah, we had planned to be at the summit for sunrise, but it was a very tough night to climb. We set off at 11 p.m. and then climb all the way through. And it was incredibly windy, incredibly cold, and we just had to take our time, take a bit more rest than expected. But no, when the sun rose, the whole mountain lit up. You could see the summit not too far away. It was really beautiful. yeah, just egged us on for that last little bit.
Alexander, what sort of special equipment, if any, did you have to take on the climb over and above the predictable norm?
Well, I mean, it's not massively technical climb. Quite a few people do it each week. No real snow to deal with, just the standard trekking stuff. Yeah, nothing ridiculously technical, but just a big personal challenge, the whole thing.
And congratulations on that £8,000 for the Henry Surtees Foundation. Tell us a little bit about why you chose that charity.
Well, Henry was my teammate back in 2008 in Formula Renault UK, and in 2009 when he was killed, it was a pretty tragic event for everybody involved in motorsport. But having known him personally, it was difficult to see. And I've been friends with John and everyone at the Henry Surtees Foundation ever since. And yeah, I won the Henry Surtees karting race actually the winter before. Sort of like last October actually, sorry. And so it was just fresh in my mind, and I thought that it would be a fitting tribute to such a great guy.
Well, absolutely, and I spent a little bit of time with John recently, and he's such a tireless worker and so full of enthusiasm and ideas for that charity. I'm sure the money's going to be very well spent. And you may not know it, but through the Flying Lap and some of the great people we have watching the show, we started the petition to get a knighthood for John a few months ago now. But we've now had people like Mario Andretti and Emerson Fittipaldi endorse the petition, and the numbers are just climbing exponentially. So that's something that we need to push hard for as well, because if anybody's an unsung hero of British motorsport, it's John Surtees, and after everything he's been through, he's just a giant in the sport now. But going back to you, having done that Kilimanjaro, in terms of fitness levels and so forth, I mean, I guess now with McLaren you can chime into a really nice fitness program with them and really focus on what you want to achieve there in terms of your endurance racing.
Yes, I think the driving of the McLaren GT car is a fantastic opportunity, but to me, being with McLaren opens up so many other doors, and that's what was really a key to my decision in joining the program. And yeah, their fitness facilities are fantastic, but along with that, yeah, as you mentioned before, their simulator, their technical depth is just insane. Probably got to be one of the best F1 teams out there, and so yeah, to be part of that would be fantastic. And
very good people too, which I'm sure you know already. But up and throughout the whole pyramid at McLaren, wherever you go, whatever level, just top people and good people, easy to talk to, and everybody pushing in the same direction. So I'm sure you're going to find that a massive help in where you're going. Look, great to talk to you at this early stage of the season. We know you've got a few plans to finalise in terms of which team you'll actually be with and how that's going to go. We'd love to keep in touch with you during the year and support everything you're doing. And again, congratulations on the amount of money you raised for that walk and for achieving that.
Thank you very much.
I mean, mountain climbing and racing driving is there's quite a lot of similarity, I guess. Okio Katayama, I don't know if you heard of him, but he was...
Yes, I've heard of him.
Yeah, a great guy, Japanese, obviously in Formula One for a while, and he sadly had a terrible incident last year and lost a couple of friends, but he's an avid mountain climber, and just a little postscript to that is that his son was born with some sort of phobia which made it very difficult for him to go outside, and it's got a name, but anyway, he didn't like light or anything. And Ukyo managed to get him to the top of Mount Fuji, and it just clicked, and it just changed his life completely. And so yeah, I think I can understand a little bit of where you're coming from with the Kilimanjaro. For me, I've got to say finally, you probably haven't, it's a long time ago, there's a rock group called Toto, and they did a song called Africa. And there's a line in there about Mount Kilimanjaro at dawn, and whenever I think of that part of Africa, I just think of that music as well. I don't know if you had it playing. But if I ever went, that's what I'd be playing. But yeah, brilliant stuff. Okay, Alexander, excellent. I'll let you go, and thanks again for talking to us, and best of luck with everything, and we'll keep in touch.
Thanks very much, Peter. All the best.
Thanks, mate.